Ambassador Jake Morrison stood at the viewing port of the UES Defiance and watched the massive Galactic Council station grow larger as they approached. The station looked like a giant metal flower, with dozens of arms reaching out into space. Each arm belonged to a different alien species that made up the Council. Jake had been preparing for this moment for 3 years, and he knew this was humanity's last chance to join the galactic community peacefully. Commander Lisa Grant walked up beside him and checked her weapon one more time. She had been Jake's security chief for 5 years, and she never trusted aliens completely. Her team of 12 Marines was spread throughout the ship, and they all knew their jobs. Lisa looked at the alien station and felt something was wrong, but she could not put her finger on what it was. Dr. Karen Bell was in her cabin reviewing the medical data they were bringing to the Council. The human medical technology could save millions of alien lives across the galaxy. She had worked for 2 years to make the presentation perfect. Karen believed that if the aliens saw how much humans could help them, they would finally accept Earth into their group. The ship's communication system came alive with the voice of Captain Roy Fisher. He told them they were about to dock with the station and everyone should prepare for the meeting. Jake straightened his diplomatic uniform and picked up his briefcase. Inside were the complete plans for human medical technology that could cure diseases the aliens had been fighting for centuries. Young Alex Stone was nervous as he organized his translation equipment. At 25 years old, this was his first major diplomatic mission. He spoke 7 different alien languages and had studied their cultures for years. Alex wanted to make sure there were no misunderstandings during the talks. He had read every treaty and agreement the Council had ever made. Captain Tony Hayes gathered his 3 Marines and gave them final instructions. Tony was a veteran of the colonial wars, and he had fought aliens before. He did not like the way the Council had treated human requests for membership. They always found excuses to say no, and Tony suspected they did not want humans in their club at all. The docking process took 30 minutes, and Jake could feel the ship shake as the station's docking arms grabbed hold of the Defiance. Through the viewing port, he could see alien workers moving around the docking bay. Most of them were Zalathi with their insect-like bodies and multiple arms. The Zalathi controlled station security, and they did not seem friendly. Lisa checked in with her team as they prepared to leave the ship. Each Marine carried hidden weapons and emergency equipment. They all wore diplomatic clothes, but they were ready for trouble. Lisa had a bad feeling about this mission, but Jake insisted they had to try one more time to make peace. The airlock opened, and Jake led his team into the station. The gravity was lighter than Earth normal, and the air smelled strange. Alien workers stopped what they were doing to stare at the humans. Jake smiled and nodded at them, but they did not respond. Alex whispered that this was normal behavior for most alien species. A tall Corvin official made of living crystal approached them. His name was Texaval, and he was the Council's diplomatic coordinator. Texaval spoke in perfect English and welcomed the humans to the station. He explained that the Council was eager to hear their presentation and had prepared special quarters for them. Jake thanked him and followed as Texaval led them through the station corridors. The quarters were located in a section of the station that seemed isolated from the main areas. Lisa noticed that there were many security cameras and the hallways had only one way in and out. She made mental notes of everything she saw and stayed close to Jake. Her hand rested near her hidden weapon. Dr. Bell was impressed by the medical facilities she saw as they walked through the station. The aliens had technology that was different from human designs, but it looked very advanced. She hoped they would be interested in sharing knowledge with Earth. Karen believed that cooperation between species was the key to peace in the galaxy. The diplomatic quarters were comfortable and had everything the humans needed. Texaval explained that the formal presentation would take place the next day in the main council chamber. All 7 species would be present to hear what humanity had to offer. Jake thanked him again, and Texaval left them alone to prepare. As soon as the alien was gone, Lisa started checking the rooms for listening devices and hidden cameras. She found several, but that was normal for diplomatic meetings. Tony and his Marines took positions around the quarters and began their security routine. Alex set up his translation equipment and tested all the alien language programs. Jake sat down with Dr. Bell to review their presentation one final time. They had charts and data that showed how human medical technology could help every species in the Council. The technology was worth billions of credits, and Jake was offering to share it freely if humans could join the Galactic community. That evening, the humans had dinner in their quarters and discussed their strategy for the next day. Jake was optimistic that the Council would finally accept humanity's membership request. Lisa remained suspicious, but she kept her concerns to herself. None of them knew that in another part of the station, Council Security Chief Vextar was finalizing plans to kill them all. The diplomatic dinner started exactly as planned. Jake Morrison sat at the large round table surrounded by representatives from all 7 Council species. The food was specially prepared to be safe for human consumption, and the conversation seemed friendly. Dr. Karen Bell sat beside Jake and answered questions about human medical technology. The aliens appeared very interested in what she had to say. Commander Lisa Grant stood near the wall with Tony Hayes and watched everything carefully. She had positioned her other Marines throughout the dining hall, but something still felt wrong. The alien security guards seemed too tense, and they kept checking their communication devices. Lisa touched her hidden earpiece and whispered status reports to her team. Alex Stone was busy translating conversations between the humans and aliens. The Drellin representative was asking detailed questions about human surgical techniques. The Corvin delegate wanted to know about genetic therapy. Alex thought the meeting was going better than anyone had expected. He began to relax and enjoy the historic moment. Council Security Chief Vextar entered the dining hall and spoke quietly to several guards. Lisa noticed him immediately because his behavior was different from the other Zalathi. He moved with purpose and kept looking at the human delegation. When Vextar's eyes met hers, Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. The dinner continued for another hour, and Jake gave a brief presentation about humanity's desire for peace. He explained that humans had learned from their violent past and wanted to join the galactic community as partners. The alien representatives nodded and asked polite questions. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. Dr. Bell was in the middle of explaining how human medicine could cure a disease that affected the Zalathi when the lights in the dining hall suddenly dimmed. Emergency lighting came on and bathed everything in red. Vextar stood up and announced that there was a technical problem with the station's power systems. He said the humans would need to return to their quarters immediately for safety reasons. Lisa's instincts screamed danger. She stepped forward and told Jake they should leave the station right now. But when she tried to contact the UES Defiance, she found that all communications were being jammed. The alien guards moved to block the exits, and Lisa realized they were trapped. Jake stood up and demanded to know what was happening. Texaval the Corvin diplomat looked nervous and said there had been a misunderstanding. He claimed the Council had received new information about human aggression and needed time to reconsider their application. Jake protested that this was highly irregular and violated diplomatic protocols. Vextar activated a device on his belt and spoke in the Zalathi language. Alex translated quickly, and his face went pale. The security chief had just ordered his guards to initiate something called Protocol 7. Alex had studied alien security procedures, and he knew Protocol 7 meant elimination of hostile targets. Tony. Hayes drew his weapon and shouted a warning to his Marines. The alien guards responded by raising their own weapons and pointing them at the humans. Lisa pulled Jake behind an overturned table as energy blasts started flying across the dining hall. Dr. Bell grabbed her medical bag and crawled toward cover. Dining hall erupted into chaos as the humans fought back against overwhelming odds. Tony's Marines were outnumbered 3-1, but they had better training and superior weapons. Lisa coordinated their defense while trying to find an escape route. The aliens had obviously planned this attack carefully. Vextar activated another device, and poisonous gas began flowing into the dining hall through the air vents. The gas was designed to kill humans quickly, but the Marines had emergency air filters in their equipment. Lisa shouted orders for everyone to put on their breathing gear while they continued fighting. Alex Stone was hit by an energy blast and fell behind his overturned chair. Dr. Bell crawled over to help him while laser fire passed over their heads. Alex was badly wounded, but he was still conscious. He managed to whisper that the aliens had been planning this attack for months. The whole diplomatic invitation had been a trap. Jake Morrison could not believe what was happening. He had spent 3 years working for peace, and the aliens had decided to murder him instead of talking. Jake pulled out his own weapon and started shooting back at the guards. He was not a soldier, but he knew how to defend himself. The battle continued for 20 minutes before the humans managed to fight their way out of the dining hall. Lisa led them through corridors filled with smoke and emergency lights. Behind them, they could hear Vextar shouting orders in multiple alien languages. More guards were coming from all directions. Tony Hayes carried the wounded Alex Stone, while Dr. Bell tried to treat his injuries on the move. Jake stayed close to Lisa as she navigated through the station using her knowledge of the layout. They needed to find a secure location where they could contact their ship and call for help. The group reached a maintenance section near the station's outer hull. Lisa found an empty storage room and sealed the door behind them. She immediately started working on her emergency communication equipment while Tony set up defensive positions. The aliens would find them soon, and they needed help fast. Dr. Bell managed to activate her portable transmitter and sent a coded message toward Earth space. The message was short, but it contained the most important words in human diplomatic history. She transmitted the code phrase, "Broken Arrow," which meant that human diplomats had been attacked and murdered by hostile aliens. Jake sat in the dark storage room and realized that everything had changed. The Galactic Council had chosen war instead of peace. They had tried to kill him and his team because they were afraid of humanity. Jake knew that this act of treachery would have consequences that the aliens could not imagine. Lisa received confirmation that their message had been received by human forces. Help was coming, but it would take time to arrive. The humans would have to survive on their own until rescue came. Outside the storage room, they could hear alien guards searching for them. The hunt had begun. Admiral Henry Cross was reviewing supply reports at Luna Command when the emergency communication came through. The message was short and encrypted, but when Henry decoded it, his blood ran cold. Dr. Karen Bell had transmitted the words, "Broken Arrow," from the Galactic Council station. Every human military officer knew what those words meant. Diplomats were under attack and presumed dead. Henry immediately activated his command staff and called an emergency meeting. Within 30 minutes, the most senior military leaders in human space were gathered in the secure briefing room. Henry stood before them and explained what had happened. The Galactic Council had attacked Ambassador Jake Morrison and his diplomatic team during what was supposed to be a peace negotiation. Captain Nicole Wright was the first to speak. She commanded the stealth destroyer UES Phantom, and she had been preparing for this possibility for 2 years. Nicole had always believed the aliens would eventually try to eliminate human leadership. She requested permission to begin immediate rescue operations. Colonel Danny Price slammed his fist on the table and demanded immediate military action. He commanded the Human Colonial Marine Corps, and his forces were spread across 12 star systems. Danny had been waiting for an excuse to show the aliens what human soldiers could do in a real fight. Admiral Cross activated the holographic display and showed them Operation Darkstar. This was humanity's most classified military plan, and only a few people knew it existed. The plan detailed exactly how human forces would respond to an alien attack on Earth's diplomatic representatives. Every major military commander had a role to play. The first phase of Operation Dark Star involved mobilizing the secret human fleet. For the past 5 years, Earth had been building warships disguised as cargo vessels and research stations. These ships were scattered throughout human space and equipped with experimental weapons. The aliens had no idea how powerful humanity's military had become. Henry contacted President Ellen Foster at the White House and explained the situation. Ellen had been expecting this call ever since Jake Morrison left for the council station. She had never trusted the aliens completely, and she had authorized the military to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Ellen gave Henry permission to use any means necessary to rescue the diplomatic team and respond to alien aggression. Captain Roy Fisher received orders to prepare the UES Defiance for immediate departure from the council station. Roy had been monitoring alien communications, and he knew something was wrong. His ship was outnumbered, but he had weapons the aliens had never seen before. Roy began powering up his experimental shield systems and preparing for battle. Nicole Wright gathered her crew aboard the UES Phantom and reviewed the rescue mission parameters. Her ship was equipped with the most advanced stealth technology humanity had ever developed. The aliens would not be able to detect her approach until it was too late. Nicole had handpicked her crew for missions like this, and they were ready. Colonel Price began issuing orders to Marine commanders throughout human space. Major Pete Johnson received instructions to prepare his assault ships for immediate deployment. Sergeant Kelly Adams was told to ready her special operations team for a station infiltration mission. Corporal Roy Fisher began loading experimental explosives onto the assault vessels. The second phase of Operation Dark Star involved revealing humanity's true military capabilities to the Galactic Council. Admiral Cross had been planning this moment for years. Hidden human bases throughout the galaxy would simultaneously activate and begin offensive operations. The aliens would learn that humans had been preparing for war while pretending to want peace. Admiral Janet King received orders to activate the secret shipyards at Titan. For 3 years, her workers had been building the massive battlecruiser UES Vengeance in complete secrecy. The ship was twice the size of anything in the human fleet and armed with weapons based on physics principles the aliens had never encountered. General Frank Torres began mobilizing ground forces for planetary assault operations. His intelligence reports showed the locations of major council military installations and supply depots. Frank had been studying alien defensive strategies, and he knew exactly where to hit them. The aliens had grown soft during their long peace, and they were not prepared for human tactics. Henry activated the secure communication network and contacted human colony commanders throughout the galaxy. Each colony had been secretly building defensive installations and training militia forces. The aliens thought humans were scattered and weak, but they were about to learn the truth. Every human settlement was ready for war. Captain Diane Clark received orders to take command of the UES Vengeance and prepare for immediate deployment. Diane had been waiting for this assignment her entire career. She was one of the most experienced combat commanders in the human fleet, and she knew how to use the ship's experimental weapons effectively. The third phase of Operation Dark Star involved cutting off alien supply lines and communication networks. Human intelligence had identified the key nodes in the Council's infrastructure. Special operations teams were already in position to sabotage alien facilities throughout their territory. The aliens would be blind and isolated when the human counterattack began. Major Pete Johnson launched his assault ships and began the journey to the Council station. His Marines were equipped with the latest human technology, and they were eager to rescue Ambassador Morrison. Pete had fought in the colonial wars, and he knew how to conduct boarding operations against alien targets. Admiral Cross reviewed the final phase of Operation Dark Star and felt satisfied with the preparations. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. The aliens had made the mistake of thinking humans were weak because they wanted peace. They were about to learn that humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy when they were threatened. Nicole Wright's stealth destroyer entered hyperspace and began the race to reach the Council station before it was too late. Her sensors showed alien fleet movements throughout their territory. The Council was mobilizing their own forces, but they had no idea what was coming for them. The emergency session at Luna Command lasted 6 hours as human military leaders coordinated. The largest operation in their history. Every ship, every marine, every weapon system was being prepared for immediate deployment. The Galactic Council had chosen to attack human diplomats, and now they would face the consequences of that decision. Admiral Cross looked at the tactical displays and smiled grimly. The aliens were about to learn why humans had conquered their own planet through thousands of years of warfare. Captain Nicole Wright studied the tactical display as the UES Phantom approached the Council station. Her stealth destroyer was completely invisible to alien sensors, and she could see the entire enemy fleet positioned around the station. The aliens had 12 warships guarding their prize, but they had no idea death was approaching from the darkness of space. Major Pete Johnson reviewed the assault plan with his Marine team leaders. Sergeant Kelly Adams would lead the first wave through the station's maintenance shafts, while Corporal Roy Fisher's demolition team created diversions throughout the facility. The Marines had studied the station blueprints for months, and they knew exactly where to find the human diplomatic team. Nicole activated the ship's experimental weapons and targeted the alien communication arrays first. The Council ships would be blind and unable to coordinate their defense once she began the attack. Her crew had trained for this mission for 2 years, and every system was operating perfectly. The aliens were about to face human military technology they never knew existed. The UES Phantom launched a spread of stealth torpedoes toward the Council fleet. The weapons were undetectable until the moment of impact, and each torpedo carried enough explosive power to destroy an alien cruiser. Nicole watched as the first 3 enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The remaining aliens finally realized they were under attack. Kelly Adams led her special operations team through an airlock breach on the station's lower levels. Her soldiers moved through the maintenance tunnels like ghosts and avoided the alien security patrols. Kelly had memorized every corridor and shaft in the station. She knew exactly where Commander Lisa Grant would have taken the diplomatic team for safety. The alien fleet scrambled to respond to the surprise attack, but their coordination was completely disrupted. Nicole's opening strike had destroyed their command ship and killed the fleet admiral. The remaining captains tried to organize a counterattack, but they could not locate the source of the torpedo strikes. The UES Phantom remained invisible while it continued destroying alien vessels. Roy Fisher planted explosive charges throughout the station's power grid while the aliens were distracted by the space battle. His demolition team had infiltrated through the cargo bays, and they were systematically sabotaging critical systems. The station's lights began flickering as power conduits exploded in sequence. Nicole launched her second wave of attacks and targeted the alien ship's weapon systems. The Council vessels were powerful, but they used energy shields that could be overwhelmed by concentrated fire. Human torpedoes punched through alien defenses and crippled their ability to fight back. 3 more enemy ships were destroyed in the opening minutes of combat. Kelly Adams reached the section where the human diplomatic team was hiding and began searching for their exact location. Her scanners detected human life signs in a storage compartment near the outer hull. Kelly signaled her team, and they moved carefully through corridors filled with alien security forces hunting for the same targets. The space battle intensified as more alien reinforcements arrived from nearby systems. Nicole found herself facing 18 enemy warships, but her stealth technology gave her a decisive advantage. The aliens could not target what they could not see, and their random firing was completely ineffective against her ship. Major Johnson launched his main assault force and began boarding the Council station through multiple breach points. His Marines fought through alien defenders while making their way toward the diplomatic quarters. The aliens were confused and disorganized because they were facing attacks from inside and outside the station simultaneously. Kelly found the sealed storage room where Jake Morrison and his team were hiding. She used her plasma cutter to open the door and found Ambassador Morrison, Dr. Karen Bell, Tony Hayes, and the wounded Alex Stone alive, but surrounded by alien gas. Kelly's team immediately provided medical aid and breathing equipment to the rescued diplomats. Nicole detected alien reinforcement fleets approaching from 3 directions and realized she needed to accelerate the rescue timeline. She contacted Major Johnson and told him he had 15 minutes to extract the diplomatic team before overwhelming enemy forces arrived. The rescue operation had to succeed quickly, or everyone would be trapped. Dr. Bell told Kelly that she had recovered critical intelligence data about alien military installations throughout Council space. The information included fleet positions, supply depot locations, and defensive capabilities that would be invaluable for human military planning. Kelly immediately transmitted the data to the UES Phantom for relay to Earth. Roy Fisher's demolition. Charges began exploding throughout the station and caused massive structural damage. The aliens were forced to divert security forces to deal with the sabotage, while the human rescue teams extracted the diplomatic personnel. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows as sections of the station lost power completely. Jake Morrison was amazed to see human soldiers fighting their way through the alien station to rescue him. He had never imagined that Earth possessed such advanced military capabilities. Jake realized that humanity's peaceful diplomatic approach had been backed by overwhelming force that the aliens never suspected existed. The final phase of the rescue operation began as Major Johnson's Marines fought their way to the extraction point. Kelly Adams carried the wounded Alex Stone, while Tony Hayes helped Dr. Bell protect the stolen intelligence data. Jake Morrison stayed close to the Marine squad leaders as they navigated through corridors filled with smoke and debris. Nicole launched a massive torpedo barrage against the remaining alien ships and created a corridor of destruction through their defensive line. The Council fleet was in complete disarray and could not prevent the human rescue ships from reaching the station. Several alien captains attempted to surrender, but Nicole ignored their communications. The human assault teams reached their extraction ships and began evacuating the station as Roy Fisher activated his final demolition charges. The massive explosions tore through the station's central core and caused catastrophic damage to the facility. The Council's primary diplomatic center was being destroyed before their eyes. Jake Morrison looked back at the burning alien station as the rescue ships accelerated away from the battle zone. He realized that this attack had changed everything between humans and the Galactic Council. The aliens had chosen treachery over diplomacy, and now they would face the full military might of an angry human civilization. Nicole Wright watched the last alien ship's retreat as the UES Phantom completed its mission. The rescue operation had been a complete success, and the diplomatic team was safe. More importantly, the aliens now knew that humanity possessed military technology far more advanced than they had believed possible. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted dramatically in a single day. Admiral Henry Cross stood in the war room at Luna Command and watched as Operation Nemesis began across the galaxy. The rescue of Ambassador Jake Morrison had been just the beginning of humanity's response to alien treachery. Now, the Galactic Council would learn what happened when they attacked human diplomats. Every hidden human military asset was being revealed simultaneously. Commander Paul Rivera led the first wave of attacks from his command ship, UES Thunder. His fleet of 20 vessels had been disguised as mining operations in the Outer Rim for 3 years. The aliens had never suspected that human cargo ships were actually battle cruisers equipped with experimental weapons. Paul's ships dropped their camouflage and began systematically destroying Council military installations. The massive battlecruiser UES Vengeance emerged from the hidden shipyards at Titan under Captain Diane Clark's command. The ship was 3 kilometers long and armed with weapons that used principles of physics the aliens had never encountered. Diane had waited her entire career for this moment, and she was ready to show the Council the true power of human engineering. General Frank. Torres coordinated ground assaults on 12 different Council worlds simultaneously. His marine forces had been infiltrating alien planets for months, while disguised as traders and researchers. When the signal came, they emerged from hiding and began capturing key military facilities. The aliens were shocked to discover human soldiers already on their home worlds. The Council's emergency session was interrupted by reports of attacks throughout their territory. Security Chief Vextar tried to coordinate defensive responses, but human forces were striking too many targets at once. The aliens realized they had completely underestimated humanity's military capabilities and strategic planning. Admiral Janet, King's fleet attacked the main Council naval base at Proxima 7. Her ships used gravitational weapons that collapsed the alien defensive shields and left their vessels helpless. The Council admirals watched in horror as their most powerful fleet was destroyed in less than an hour. Human technology was decades ahead of anything they possessed. Captain Nicole Wright's stealth destroyer UES Phantom appeared inside the heavily defended Zalathi home system and began destroying their orbital defense platforms. The aliens could not detect her ship until it was too late to respond. Nicole's precision strikes crippled the insectoid species' ability to launch counterattacks against human colonies. The Council's communication networks began failing as human sabotage teams activated throughout their territory. Major Pete Johnson's Special Operations Forces had spent months infiltrating alien infrastructure. When Operation Nemesis began, they destroyed relay stations and command centers across dozens of star systems. The aliens were being systematically isolated. Dr. Karen Bell analyzed the intelligence data she had stolen from the Council station and provided targeting information for human fleet commanders. Her medical knowledge helped identify biological weaknesses in alien species that could be exploited during combat operations. Karen had become an unexpected but valuable military asset. The Corvin crystalline beings attempted to organize a defensive alliance with the remaining Council species, but their efforts were disrupted by human cyber warfare attacks. Alex Stone had recovered enough from his injuries to assist with electronic infiltration of alien computer systems. His language skills allowed him to decode enemy communications and identify their strategic plans. Commander Roy Fisher led a squadron of assault ships against the Drellin aquatic homeworld. His forces used sonic weapons that disrupted the alien cities built underwater. The Drellin had never faced an enemy that understood their environmental vulnerabilities. Their entire civilization was paralyzed within hours of the attack beginning. Captain Tony Hayes commanded Marine units that captured the Council's main weapons manufacturing facilities. His soldiers were equipped with powered armor that made them nearly invulnerable to alien small arms fire. Tony had fought in the colonial wars, and he knew how to conduct rapid assault operations against technologically inferior enemies. The space battle at the Council's military headquarters lasted 6 hours as human fleets converged from multiple directions. Admiral Cross had planned the operation to demonstrate overwhelming superiority rather than simply achieving victory. The aliens needed to understand that resistance was futile and surrender was their only option. General Monica Bell led the war crimes investigation teams that followed behind the advancing human forces. She was Dr. Karen Bell's sister, and she had extensive experience with military justice. Monica began documenting evidence of the alien conspiracy to murder human diplomats. The Council leaders would face trial for their treachery. The final phase of Operation Nemesis involved the complete destruction of the Council's ability to wage war. Human forces systematically eliminated alien shipyards, supply depots, and training facilities. The technology gap between humans and aliens was so vast that the outcome was never in doubt. The Council's military power was being permanently broken. Jake Morrison watched the tactical displays from Luna Command and felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. The aliens had forced humanity to reveal its true military strength through their assassination attempt. Jake had spent years working for peace, but now he realized that the Council had never intended to accept humans as equals. The surviving Council representatives sent desperate messages requesting negotiations and ceasefire agreements. Admiral Cross ignored their communications and continued the systematic destruction of alien military capabilities. The time for talking had ended when they tried to murder human diplomats. Now, there would be only consequences. Captain Diane Clark's battlecruiser, UES Vengeance, arrived at the Council homeworld and began broadcasting surrender demands. The massive human warship hung in orbit like a metal moon and demonstrated the futility of continued resistance. Diane's weapons could destroy the entire planet if the aliens refused to comply with human terms. The Battle of Council Prime lasted only 4 hours, as the last alien defensive fleets were annihilated by superior human firepower. The remaining Council leaders realized they had made the worst mistake in galactic history by attacking Ambassador Morrison. They had awakened a military power that had been hidden but never sleeping. Within 2 weeks of the Diplomatic massacre, the Galactic Council's military forces had been completely destroyed. Human fleets controlled every major star system in Council space, and alien worlds were under occupation. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted permanently and irreversibly. Humanity had emerged as the dominant species through overwhelming technological superiority and strategic brilliance. 6 months after the Diplomatic massacre, the former Galactic Council chambers had been converted into a human administrative center. Jake Morrison sat behind the same table where alien representatives had once plotted his assassination. Now he was Ambassador Plenipotentiary of the Human Galactic Protectorate, and the surviving Council members were waiting for him to decide their fate. Admiral Henry Cross stood beside Jake and reviewed the terms of surrender that the aliens would be required to accept. The document was comprehensive and left no doubt about who controlled the galaxy now. Human military forces occupied every major alien world, and their fleets patrolled space lanes that had once belonged to the Council species. The Zalathi representative Krixtal entered the chamber with his head bowed in submission. Security Chief Vextar had been executed for war crimes, and Krixtal was now the senior surviving leader of his species. He carried the formal surrender documents that would make the insectoid race a junior partner in the new human alliance. Dr. Karen Bell had been promoted to Director of Interspecies Medical Research, and she was working to establish new standards for alien health care. Her stolen intelligence data had revealed that the Council had been deliberately withholding medical advances from smaller species. Karen was determined to ensure that human medicine would be available to all civilized races. General Frank Torres reviewed security reports from occupied alien worlds and was pleased with the progress of the pacification operations. The former Council species were adapting to human rule better than expected. Most aliens seemed relieved that the war was over, and they could return to peaceful activities under human protection. Captain Nicole Wright had been assigned to command the new Galactic Patrol Fleet that would maintain order throughout human space. Her stealth destroyers were now openly patrolling alien systems and demonstrating human military superiority. The sight of her ships reminded everyone that resistance would be met with overwhelming force. Colonel Rachel Parker supervised the war crimes tribunals that were prosecuting aliens responsible for the assassination attempt. The trials were being conducted according to human legal standards and broadcast throughout the galaxy. Rachel wanted every species to understand that attacking human diplomats would result in severe consequences. Jake Morrison called the session to order and began reading the terms that would govern the new galactic government. The Human Galactic Protectorate would provide military protection and economic development for all member species. In exchange, the aliens would accept human leadership and contribute resources to support the new order. The Corvan delegate Texavel signed his species surrender agreement and formally requested membership in the Human Protectorate. The crystalline beings had concluded that cooperation with humanity was their only path to survival. Texaval expressed gratitude that humans were allowing them to maintain limited self-government under protectorate oversight. Admiral Janet King reported that the final alien holdout forces had been eliminated in the Outer Rim territories. Her fleets had spent months hunting down Council loyalists who refused to accept the new reality. Janet's operations had been successful, and there was no longer any organized resistance to human rule anywhere in the galaxy. Dr. Bell announced that human medical technology was being distributed to all protectorate worlds, and alien disease rates were already dropping significantly. The former Council species were beginning to understand the benefits of human leadership. Karen's work was proving that cooperation produced better results than the old system of competitive politics. General Monica Bell presented her final report on the investigation into the Diplomatic massacre. The evidence clearly showed that the attack had been planned for months and involved all 7 Council species. Monica recommended that the alien governments be permanently dissolved and replaced with human-appointed administrators. Jake Morrison stood up and addressed the assembled alien representatives. He explained that humanity had not wanted to become the dominant galactic power, but the Council's treachery had made it necessary. Jake promised that humans would be fair rulers as long as the aliens remained peaceful and cooperative. Captain Diane Clark's battlecruiser, UES Vengeance, remained in orbit above the former Council homeworld as a permanent reminder of human military superiority. Her ship had become a symbol of the new order, and alien children were taught to recognize its silhouette. Diane's presence ensured that there would be no rebellion against human authority. The signing ceremony continued for 3 hours as each alien species formally accepted their place in the human galactic protectorate. Jake Morrison watched with satisfaction as former enemies became subjects of human authority. The galaxy would be more peaceful and prosperous under human leadership than it had ever been under the old Council system. Major Pete Johnson reported that human colonies were being established throughout former Council territory. His Marines were providing security for the civilian settlers who would transform alien worlds into productive human settlements. Pete's forces had earned the respect of alien populations through their professional conduct during the occupation. Alex Stone had recovered from his injuries and was now serving as Director of Alien Cultural Affairs. His language skills and knowledge of alien customs made him invaluable for managing the transition to human rule. Alex was working to preserve the best aspects of alien cultures while eliminating their warlike tendencies. The final document signed that day established the Human Galactic Charter that would govern interspecies relations for centuries to come. Jake Morrison affixed his signature as the first human leader of a galactic government. The aliens had learned too late that attacking human diplomats was the worst mistake they could have made. As the ceremony ended, Jake looked out through the chamber windows at the stars beyond. New alien species were already requesting membership in the Human Protectorate after hearing about the benefits of human protection. The galaxy was entering a new age of peace and prosperity under human guidance. Admiral Cross activated the communication system and broadcast news of the galactic government formation to Earth. The homeworld celebrated as they learned that humanity had become the dominant species in the galaxy. The assassination attempt that was supposed to eliminate human influence had instead made humans the rulers of known space. The former Galactic Council chambers were quiet as the alien delegates departed to inform their people about the new reality. Jake Morrison remained behind and reflected on the long journey from diplomatic mission to galactic conquest. The aliens had chosen violence over negotiation, and now they would live under human authority forever.